Ginge. Ah.
Greetings, travellers. 21st of November 1975, Queen released A Night at the Opera. The album title was inspired by a Marx Brothers film of the exact same name, and here I am with my first UK press of said album. As you can see, Gatefold is the only way, all the lyrics, etc., etc. In this podcast, I'm going to be joined by two special guests, and we're going to talk about the album track by track. So enjoy and watch this space for more classic albums.
I'm privileged to be joined for the inaugural podcast by the Mayor of Goulburn himself, Robert Bluesy Hughes.
Hello, people.
And the righteous Christopher Prescott, a.k.a. Superfly. Where'd you get that nickname from, Chris?
What, Superfly or Righteous?
Superfly.
Superfly. I'm in a currently not working cover band called Superfly. A bit like most cover bands at the moment.
The righteous Superfly. Tell us a bit about yourself, Chris.
Big Queen fan to begin with. A little hint of what we're going to talk about. Grew up, went to the same school as Mike. Used to drink and play in a similar pub to Rob. One of the first times I ever played live in a pub was with Rob on the drums, I think. Play guitar, bass, bit of that. Love my old music, and one of my favourite albums is A Night at the Opera. Yeah, so that's why I thought I'd get involved today.
Rob, tell us a bit about yourself. Now, we've only got about 2 hours, so you got to make this quick.
Don't worry, I can have this nailed in like 10 seconds. Yeah, I've been playing music all my life, pretty much. You know, I'm an old man now. You know, it does get to us. Got a lot of experience at the moment. I'm just working on my own music in my studio under the banner of Punk Baby, just trying to get it out there and what have you. I've also been a super massive Queen fan all my life, and in particular, if it was not for this album, I would definitely have never become a drummer. And that's something that I realised when I was 4 years old.
Wow. I mean, I don't think I've ever known an album with so many different styles on it. Prog, rock, skiffle, big band jazz. What else is there?
It's a monster.
Space opera. So let's go straight onto it with track 1, side 1, Vinyl Talk. Death on Two Legs. Rob, do you want to kick us off?
Yeah, sure. This is possibly one of, I think, Freddie Mercury's most angriest and rocking songs. He's never really been one for writing the angry songs, but he's always been one to write emotional songs. So I guess anger is an emotion. Usually you get Brian May coming up with the rockers, and this particular one is quite rightfully angry because it's a big dig at the productions company that was with. They signed a silly little deal when they were trying to get there, you know, trying to become famous, with a production company who paid them £60 a week, and in the meantime they were having hits like Killer Queen, raking in all the money for the production company, and they were still getting the £60 a week. So
it's mad that because I'm still getting paid £60 a week now in 2020 for gigs.
Yeah, never changes, does it? Never changes. So yeah, it's a very angry record, and angry song, and that's what I love about it. You know, everybody knows who it's aimed at in the song, but he never mentions it, which is what I like about that.
Well, let's name him here. He ain't going to be watching. He's already released a book, so.
So they were brothers, weren't they? The managers, the Sheffield brothers, I think initially. It's a guy called Norman Sheffield, who I believe it was about, who in his book said it wasn't about him, but when he first heard it, he sued the band. So perhaps it was about him, and he knew it was. So he was the guy who stitched them up financially, I think.
So he sued them for £60 a week.
Yeah, they had nothing to pay him when he sued them, I guess.
Do you know what, right? God's honest truth, I heard Death on Two Legs at a Dream Theatre gig. They covered it. And at the time, shame to say, I didn't know it was Queen. And when I found out it was Queen, that was how I heard the album for the first time. I think they've only ever done it once. Really, really random. They just stuck it in. I couldn't believe it. I found out it was Queen.
It's a great tune. I think Queen used to open with it at one point. Oh, they played it quite early. It's on Live Killers, and I think Freddie used to introduce it with a couple of expletives, which on Live Killers are beeped out. So when you first hear that, that's enough to get your interest and go, oh, what's he said? What's it about? And then the song's just a monster. Like, it's got huge guitar in it, but Freddie wrote the guitar riff, didn't he?
Did it?
Happens a few times on this album. I think the huge Brian May guitar riffs, often Freddie's written them on Freddie songs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's piano driven, isn't it? But then that guitar comes in.
Sure, yeah.
It's just huge. There's a lot in the song. There's sound effects and the backing vocals that we'll talk about throughout, I suppose.
Yeah.
Undoubtedly. So yeah, Death on Two Legs. Anybody got anything else to add on that?
Yeah, there's some absolutely killer fills by Roger Taylor in that. It's absolutely amazing. Those are the drum fills that got me excited. And when I was like 4 years old, I was listening to this music that I was born to young parents. So they had this on at the time, about 75. So I'd have been about 4, something like that later on. And those big fills just excited me. And I'm like, Mum, I want to be a drummer when I get older. Oh, shut up, Robert. You're not going to be a drummer. I'm like, yeah, I am. And as it happened, it's basically everything Roger Taylor does is just so awesome that it's driven me throughout the years to be inspired to do big things like Roger does. It's an inspirational record for all musicians, definitely.
It's a great Roger Taylor album, isn't it? I think it's great. All 4 musicians really show off on this album again that we'll come back to. But yeah, this song, the lyrics, as you said, his angry lyrics. There's the bit he sings, have you thought about suicide or something? And then the backing vocals sing, I think you should.
Yeah.
Crazy, like a song saying you should go and kill yourself.
Yeah. That's how angry Freddie was. And would you blame him in his position? I mean, I'd be the same. I mean, I'm the same when a pub landlord won't pay for you to play and stuff,
Yeah.
There's not been enough people in. It's like, whatever.
Judas Priest got taken to court for telling people to kill themselves, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. Yeah, those 2 lads in that park. Yeah.
Shocking. All right, track 2, Lazing on a Sunday Afternoon.
Fabulous.
Rob, do you want to go first, dude?
Yeah, what a fantastic song. What I liked about it, like we talked about earlier, is it's an eclectic album of various different styles and genres, yet they still belong on the same record. They seem to be part of the whole thing, yet very separate entities. And not just are they recording a song in the style, they record it in the sound as well. So Freddie's voice on that particular track was kind of made to sound like it was a megaphone that he was talking through. So it seems in keeping with the 1930s and 40s, jazz style, and that's what's cool. So in the studio, they kind of fed Freddie's vocals through a pair of headphones and into a metal bucket or, filing cabinet of some description to get that metallic hollow sound, and then placed a microphone into that, which is incredible when you think about today. You can just press a button in your in your DAW and it's done for you. But these guys back then, super creative. And if you think about, it was only 5 years since the very first 16-track recording studio was kind of brought forward with Frank Zappa. In that 5 years, there's a lot of creative musicians who've come together with creative producers, and like Roy Thomas Baker, who produced this album, was just as creative in his field as Queen was, and it was a beautiful match. So they could both grow together and build this big thing that is a night at the opera. So to come up with little techniques like, I know what would sound great. Let's mic up a pair of headphones and a bucket, and that'll get the sound we want. It's genius.
I suppose the other way you could get that effect maybe would be to put a telephone to a microphone, maybe, but it still wouldn't sound as good though, was it? And I actually bought a megaphone, believe it or not, off eBay,
right?
Because I wanted to be Mike Patton out with Faith No More,
sure.
And I bought a megaphone to get that sound. But yeah,
it's cool though, isn't it? It is cool. It's like the 1970s version of Sgt. Pepper. That's what I think that this is.
Yeah, definitely. I think when I've listened back to it, I've listened to this album so many times, I don't remember the first time I listened to it, and probably the first time I listened to it, I was already familiar with some of the songs. But when you listen to the album, it's such a change of pace so early in the album to go from Death on Two Legs to this like really angry, really huge rock song. And then you go into Lazing on a Sunday afternoon, oh, what the hell is this? Like the sequencing, let's follow this with that.
Yeah.
Is inspired. And I didn't realise, I never would have realised that Lazing on a Sunday afternoon, I think it's 1 minute 8 seconds or something. There's a few songs on this that are just over a minute long, and they're great songs. And this song as well, I think, is sort of really British sounding song, isn't it? Obviously singing about very British things, but the music that he's written, it's a Freddie song as well. And this is a guy who grew up in Zanzibar and India, but it's like this, and there's a couple of others that will come on. It just sounds so British. It's bizarre that you'd think any of the other three had written it. I'm pretty sure it is like an entirely a Freddie song, which is
well, obviously we've not even mentioned the guitar solo. I tried to learn the guitar solo, and I just could not, for the life of me, work out the harmony parts. Obviously I could play the main melody of the solo, but those harmony parts, it's just genius. It's on a genius level, really. It's operatic guitar solos. Anybody?
Yeah, he's so known, isn't he, for that operatic guitar, Brian May think. But I think this is the pinnacle of that. This album.
I agree.
And some of the songs that we'll come up to again.
I think he gets overlooked for that side of his playing. To be honest with you, just the arrangement side. The harmonies.
In this era as well, it's down here somewhere. This is when they were always putting on their albums that there's no synthesizers.
Yes.
Bit like Red.
At the bottom. So they
bit like Red gets a machine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that, and as a kid, that influenced me to think about how real musicians play real instruments, and that encouraged me to want to play an instrument by just seeing that little sentence, no synthesizers, and that's something that lasted up until 1980. You know, on the Game and Flash Gordon when them two were released. You know, so they did keep true to the word.
I think there's probably so many albums around them that didn't have synthesizers on, but no one else felt the need to say there was no synthesizers on. Whereas something like A Night at the Opera, there's so many sounds where at first you're like, what is that?
Yeah.
And the more you're told, it's just lots of guitars doing different things. It can't be guitar. It can't be. But, you know, they were coming up with really unusual sounds that you wouldn't have picked as a guitar. But yeah, it's a big Brian May moment, this album, isn't it?
Yeah. So let's move on to track 3 then. I'm in Love with My Car.
Yes.
Again, heavy Roger Taylor album. Chris, do you wanna start us off on this one?
Well, when I was listening back and making notes, I've written Metal Waltz.
Hey, yeah.
I Love My Car, and it's one of 2 metal waltzes on the album I discovered. Yeah, really, really rolling song, isn't it? Definitely a great drummer's song. But also, again on this album is where you see that Roger Taylor was a better singer than most bands' frontmen at the time. Such a great singer. I think up there with my favourite Queen song, not on this album, I think it's on Sheer Heart Attack, is Tenement Funstead. It's a Roger Taylor song. Such a good song. And
Brilliant.
His voice, you know, you just get blown away listening to Freddie all the time. And when someone else steps forward and it's Roger Taylor, and you go, bloody hell, he's better than most of the singers out there at the time. But yeah, very tongue-in-cheek. The backing vocals are great. I think there's a couple of songs on here that I think are just Freddie does the backing vocals on. But yeah, that Queen sound where the 3 of them all sing together is fantastic. And again, never better than on this album. But yeah, Rob, as a drummer, this is probably a big song for you, is it?
Yeah, again, as a youngster, it has the intro is very powerful, and it builds up on his toms before he even starts with any of the beat and starts to play anything proper, and that is your build up to something special, and then it becomes really open. It takes you in a different direction to what you think it's going to be. Because knowing Roger, you know, he always writes the rockers because he's your kind of, I wouldn't say cliche rocker, you know what I mean? But he's got that 50s greaser mentality about him when he writes his songs, you know, like Tenement Funster and Modern Times Rock and Roll off Queen 1. Loser in the End, that's not quite as off Queen 2. That's not quite as rocking, but it's still got that 1950s kind of rocker style to it. So with that in mind, you expect it to, after he's done his Tom build-up, to kind of like launch into something fast and rolling. But instead, like you said, it's 6/8 waltz beat. It's like, where the hell did that come from? And because
he even played the guitars on the demo as well.
Yeah, I think he did on the actual album as well.
A bit like yourself, Rob, a multi-talented, multi-instrumentalist.
Yeah, well, I mean,
see, that's where you get it from, man.
Drummers, right? They just stick them at the back, out of the way. Do you know what I mean? Causing no trouble, but actually, we know what's going on. We know where it's all at.
Playing dumb.
Little secrets. Yeah, just pull out the bag when it's needed.
Let's talk about the car noise at the beginning of the song.
I think I wrote down kitchen sink production, which I think comes up a lot on this album. Roy Thomas Baker just saying, put something else on it, put something else on it. And at the end, there's like a little outro that goes back to the car noises, but it almost like doesn't fit the song. It's like they've just thrown some chords on the end that go into the engine noises. But yeah, I don't know. It's another huge song. I watched a couple of documentaries back and listening to the album again. I saw some footage of him doing it live, and he's playing the hell out of that kit and singing. Yeah. It's not Don Henley, he's
really hard to do. Very hard to do.
And singing brilliant as well.
Yeah. Never loses a beat and never goes off with his pitch or anything like that. I can't even do backing vocals when I'm playing. It's one or the other for me, and kudos to Rog, he's genius. Obviously, he'll pull it off.
It was his Alfa Romeo, apparently, at the beginning, the sound on that.
Yeah, I believe so, yeah. Sounds very nice, though, doesn't it?
Typical Italian, sounds great. Drives like a bucket of shit.
Yeah.
I think the most important thing was the fact that it was actually the B-side to the first single off the album, which we'll talk about later. But if anybody wants to take this part on, the B-side.
I think there was an interview with Brian May talking about how they picked the singles and they would talk about it as a band and all pitch for their own songs. And there was a couple he brought up that his songs that weren't singles, that he always felt afterwards, I wish that had been, because it's much more in the public consciousness if your song is a single. But I'm in love with my car. It's so tongue-in-cheek, it's so Queen, it probably had to be released. And there's a cut of Brian May talking about Roger saying he was into his fast cars, etc., which is a bit like what Rob said about the cliche rock man.
Yeah.
Roger was the star, really, wasn't he?
Yeah, but the thing is, it didn't seem cliche when he was doing it. That's the thing. He has all the ingredients to be cliche, but yet still manages to be cool.
And he looks great in the dress as well.
Yeah, he does. Quite fanciful, isn't he?
I'm sorry, Hannah, but yeah, he is. Yeah.
Yeah, man, he is.
And also in the record, it's dedicated to Jonathan Harris, who was I think he was a roadie who was just obsessed with motorbikes. So that's definitely worth a mention as well. All right, so the next track, You're My Best Friend, which is actually the second single off the album. Rob, do you want to? Yeah,
this is a kind of sentimental song for me, because this is me and my wife Michelle's wedding song. We had a dance at our wedding to that song because we're both big Queen fans. We're looking for a song to kind of do our dance at a wedding, and then you're making suggestions and you think, yeah, well, such a body had this at their wedding, or this is always popular at this wedding, or whatever. And we were just driving home one night and doing our thing, and it came on the radio, and it's like we looked at each other and we're like, yeah, my best friend, we'll have that as our wedding song. So that was like 14 years ago, and every time we hear it, wherever we are, it gives me a little nice feeling to know that a lot of people thought, well, this is a bit unusual for a wedding song, but everybody enjoyed it because it's got that feel-good factor to it.
Yeah.
It's a joyful, soulful song, because John Deacon wrote the song. He used to write kind of in a different way to the other Queen members. He was very much into like soul, wasn't he? And Tom Motown, and he used to write in that particular style, you know. And a lot of his songs have always been more about melody, whereas, like I said, Brian's all about the rocking guitars and things like that, you know. And he's kind of like more soulful, is John Deacon, you know, and that's what I like about it, because it's a contrast. Because we've just had heavy, we've just had 1940s, you know, we've had different styles, and it seems perfect place in the order and the sequence of the album to put that song.
Yeah.
No, and it's such a beautiful, joyous song that I absolutely love it.
Yeah, I think that, although it's very clearly Queen, because Queen have such a sound that as soon as you hear them, you know it's Queen. So it's got Freddie's voice and Brian's guitar, so you know it's Queen. But it's not a very typical Queen song. Obviously, it's got that Motown feel. And I believe there are people out there who don't like Queen. These people do exist. But I think even people who aren't Queen fans tend to like this song, because you take it as it is, as an individual track. It is like a soul song, a Motown song, an emotional song. And yeah, starting to introduce John Deacon as this sort of secret weapon, really, because I don't think any of the other three could have written it like that. And he plays the keys on it as well, Fender Rhodes, I think it is. So it's not Freddie playing piano on it or anything. And again, listening back to it today, got about halfway through, I thought, I've not heard Brian May yet. I'm trying to remember listening to it going, is there a guitar solo in this? There's got to be. There's a guitar solo in every Queen song ever. I'm pretty sure he's got to be coming up. And then, yeah, just towards the end, you can kind of picture Brian in the studio saying, when do I do my orchestrated guitars? Come on, John, let me at it. I've got to put some on. And almost, it could have been an even better song without guitar on it, because I'm listening to it going, it doesn't need it. It's perfect. It doesn't need any guitar. And then he just does his thing, and it sounds brilliant, as always. But it sort of sticks out a little bit after this electric piano and soul and Motown, and then his guitar orchestration comes in. Yeah, but that's why we love him.
Yeah, it's a great solo too. And what I like about Brian May's guitar solos is they're kind of like not like just little tunes, but they're kind of like, you know, when you remember lyrics and the lyrics have got rhythms and you sing them and they stick in your mind. His guitar solos are kind of lyrical. You know, I mean, you remember them like the song, but in actual fact, it's just a little bit of guitar playing for a little bit, but it's more than that.
Well, he never does the cliche guitar riff. The Ernie, as it's known, you know, the blues kind of lick that I'm guilty of doing a million times, and I don't think, because usually you can spot a guitarist, and obviously you can spot Brian May by the sound with the harmonies. But if you just go off the melodies of the solo, every solo that he does, like you say, unique, melodic, and of course he can rip it up as well when he wants to. Yeah.
And you remember as well.
Like a counter melody, aren't he? Normally, he doesn't often do the vocal melody for his guitar. He always creates a bridge just by playing something differently often.
Yeah.
I mean, his solos are a song within a song for me.
Yeah, sure.
So let's come on to the next track now. This is my favourite track of the album, and it's 39.
Yeah.
Chris, do you wanna go for this one?
Okay, so this is one again on one of the documentaries I watched just to refresh my memory that Roger Taylor describes as sci-fi space folk. Which is exactly what it is.
It is.
It's musically and the guitar. It's not too overcomplicated. It's one I couldn't play it for you now, but it's one I definitely in the past I've learned on an acoustic and been able to play. And often with Brian May's guitar parts, I've just never been able to learn them properly because his chord choice is so crazy and you never get the sound. But this is one where guitar chords he's chosen and the guitar sound, you're like, yeah, I can replicate this pretty easily. But the lyrics, he's just so Brian May. He's just off his head. He mentioned when he was talking about it, how it's about someone who's gone away on a spaceship and go to explore and find new lands. And then when he comes back, and he says this in this interview, when he comes back, because of the relative time dilation effect, he thinks a year has passed, but 100 years have passed on Earth. Now, that must be the only time a rock star or guitarist has ever mentioned the relative time dilation effect. And it could only be Brian May to be writing songs about that. He also alluded that it's a bit about going on tour and stuff as well. And the other mad thing in this is the Roger Taylor vocal in the middle. That's a bit like Pink Floyd. Is it Echoes? It's a bit that high pitched vocal. You're like, who's that? And of course, it's Roger.
Well, of course, before this podcast, because obviously this is my favourite song, I worked out what note Roger Taylor's singing there, and it's a high A.
Wow.
And we talk about this being a Roger Taylor album. Well, I'll in a real nutshell, I think Mercury gets all the credit, really. But without Roger Taylor's high vocal, it's the cherry on the top for me.
Sure, yeah.
It's just evident in this song, because like you say, it's like, what the fuck is that? Who the fuck is singing that? It's
Yeah, totally agree. It is special, and that's the thing. It's full of surprises. That particular part where he's doing that high pitch there. Again, I watched a few documentaries also to refresh my brain too, and he claims that Brian May claims that particular passage there of music represents the space journey that year. So that's why there's like a key change there and a change in mood, and that's what I like about everything that they do. It's not just like verse, chorus, end. It's very thought out, and they're very, like you say about Brian talking about astrophysics. It's a very Brian thing to do, and for it to be constructed in that way, to kind of the formula of the song to be constructed in the way that he sees astronomy, it's genius to me. That really is.
Well, I've got two things in common with George Michael, and not what you might be thinking.
Snappy snaps.
Yeah.
I've seen you in there a few times, lad.
Seen you in a kebab shop.
Not only is his surname my first name, but this is George Michael's favourite Queen song as well, because he did it at the tribute for Freddie in 1992. Highlighted notes.
That's correct. April.
I remember watching that at the very time.
Really?
Yeah. I was devoed at the time, Freddie, big hero and everything. He died in 91, and 92 was the tribute thing. And it was a massive thing for me, and it was nice to see all different types of bands performing, songs of what they liked and their versions. It's brilliant. Lisa Stansfield, she did a great version of was it I Want to Break Free?
Yeah.
She did. George Michael, I actually thought he was going to be the replacement for Freddie if Queen carried on.
Should have been.
And there were word at the time that Gary Sharon from Extreme was kind of penciled in quite high to be his replacement.
Well, he was fantastic, I thought, when he did Hammer to Fall. But that's his gig, really, isn't it? Like, he could have done some of the other Freddie stuff. But some of the people who come out on that gig, and Gary Sharon doing the heavy stuff sounded great. But George Michael, Somebody to Love is the famous one that came after that. Isn't it? Just sensational.
Perfect. Yeah,
given the choice, I'd go with George Michael, because if Gary Sharon joined, you'd never get Extreme, three sides to every story, which is going to be coming up on a podcast very soon, because it's one of my favourites.
Cool. I got two versions of that vinyl. To be honest. Yeah,
Nice.
I'm a massive fan of that record. It's got a fantastic production technique.
Yeah.
It sounds beautiful. Sonically sounds beautiful.
I know
Just
we're not talking about Extreme. No, I know, but I want to know what your two different versions are.
Oh, one's from Portugal. And when you kind of get records different places that have been pressed in different places, they sound sonically different from each other because of the little ways that they mass produce them and get them off tapes, and the very two versions sonically do sound different, and it's quite nice to listen to one that sounds really bright and vibrant and one that's kind of like muddy, and, it's nice, and you find that with pretty much everything, from not just from around the world but from you know, when the record's on its fourth press, for example, you know, you can have a really sounding record, you know, or you can get off the first presses where the presses have been cleaned properly and they sound bad. But you know, 9 times out of 10, your records are going to sound great on a normal average everyday system, so it's not a problem. You know, I collect vinyl and like to get as many versions as I can to find the ultimate one.
Yeah.
Just for shits and giggles, really. You know, I've got about 6 different versions of well, I'll pull mine out as well. Night at the Opera. You know, and to be honest, I've wore 3 of them out when I was a kid.
Have you?
You know, it's been in my life. Just like, but analyze it now, it's kind of like, because it's in my psyche for so long. You don't think about them. You don't think why you like them. You don't. You just sing them because they're part. Yeah, they've always been there. It's your little safety blanket. When it comes on the radio, you're like, oh yeah, that's cool. Because everything else is shite on the radio, and something like Queen comes on, and it's a nice, fresh change. But like doing this now, this podcast, it's kind of forced me to analyse things that I never really have done before. I thought, wow, yeah, this is a lot deeper than I actually imagined it was.
Well,
Even
I think
I knew it, I just need to recognise that, you know, and it's refreshing. You know?
It's one of those albums for me where you can't just listen to it, although you can't just listen to a single track, although I do listen to 39 on its own quite a lot, but you've got to listen to the album in its entirety.
Sure. And that's what's missing from today's music now. It's no music just shit and beige and, you know, cookie cutter. It's dispensable and disposable, and no one knows what they're listening to anymore, you know, and just songs on random shuffle that people are listening to, like it's a commodity and it's a product. And I know it is, but back in the day when they had records, there were concepts behind these things, especially in the 1970s. There was a lot of like, you know, Hawkwind, Queen, Alice Cooper, bands like that, where they're making people sit down for 40 to 43 minutes and listen to a whole piece of music, you know. And like Frank Zappa, he actually didn't stop making anything. His whole collection is just one piece of music, just behind 200 different records, that's all. You know, it's like chapters, you know, and that's cool. And I love that, but you don't seem to get that anymore, you know, and I don't like one song. I like the event, putting a record on and listening to it, getting the lyric sheet out, you know, reading it, finding out who's produced it, like you're listening to the guitar solo or listening to something relaxing in the background or whatever. You know, you're gathering the information there from the people that want you to know what the information is, the source, not Wikipedia or what Facebook says, you know. So, you know, you're getting the genuine article. It's yours, it's real. And I always felt that with vinyl, you know. Headphones on, you're in your world, 40 minutes. And that's what's missing from today's world. And if people actually sat down and listened to A Night at the Opera in its entirety, they'd get what we mean. And they probably start to listen and understand what albums are, you know. I really think that.
Did stuff like iPods and MP3 players when they first came out, because I didn't want that just listen to one song and then listen to another. That point where you've got like 5,000 songs in your computer in a big long playlist and you're clicking here and there, and I just found I'm losing albums here, and I like sitting down and listening to albums. And even now with things like Spotify, I don't really go for let's stick a playlist on and shuffle through it. I'll find an album I want to sit and listen to, and I'll listen to the whole thing. And Night at the Opera is definitely one that has to be appreciated in its entirety. And like you say, the headphones, I remember being young and getting into music, and whenever Queen came up, my dad was like, headphones. You want to listen to Queen, you've got to listen in headphones, because there's so much going on that you'll miss if you don't have headphones on. It's a good tip for this album.
Yeah, it is.
Very much so. Well, let's move on to the next track then, which is Sweet Lady. Rob, do you want to start with this one?
Yeah, this is kick ass. That's all I have to say about that. Straightforward rocker. You know, it's what pretty much every band ended up doing in the 1980s. You know, it's prototype rocker. That's what. It's amazing. It's just boom in your face, then changes tempo and comes back down again, and it's just a nice roller coaster. I love it.
Yeah,
that's all I have to say on that. It's cool.
It's a banging rock song. It's pure Brian May. I listened to the album a few months back, and when I got to Sweet Lady, I was like, why have I never learned that riff? And it's probably the only one that I was like, I've got to learn that riff. It's so good. I And yeah, just like there's so Brian May wrote it. There's a lyric on it. You call me sweet like I'm some kind of cheese,
Yeah.
which is another like sort of thing only Brian May could come up with.
Sweet cheese. I've never heard of that before.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, it's just great. It's just a huge, big song. And then towards the end, it speeds up and you get the sort of power trio going off sort of vibe. I don't think I've often or would often compare Queen to Zeppelin. And I might do again in a second in a couple of songs' time. But that little bit at the end of Sweet Lady, I'm like, oh, I could see Zeppelin banging this out. But
Sure.
it's
Yeah.
not often. Those little power trios of the 70s. And I stuck it into YouTube. I'd love to see a live version of that. And there's one from Hyde Park.
Yes.
Start off, and Brian's playing it twice as fast as on the album, just the opening riff. So I'm like, when it goes fast at the end, how is he going to be able to do this? And this is a great piano record for Freddie as well. But this is a great song where you can picture him live being released from the piano and flying all over the place.
Yeah.
While the three of them just bang out like a classic bluesy rock song. It's brilliant, Sweet Lady.
What would you describe the style of this song as, Chris? Because you so eloquently put it before. Would you say sci-fi waltz or?
Oh, that was Roger Taylor's quote of the sci-fi space folk.
So what would you call? That's the one. So what would you call this one?
Oh,
Sci-fi sweet cheese.
This is cheese rock. No, that makes it sound a bit more 80s, doesn't it? But yeah, it's sort of Derry blues, something like that.
Yeah.
I
like it.
It's just a great song. I'd love to remember when you get cover bands playing in pubs and we were all a lot more busy than we are now. I'd love to sort of walk into a pub and just hear a band playing this song. Bloody hell, Sweet Lady, what a great song. 'Cause no one plays it.
Yeah,
everybody we should do it.
We should.
Yeah.
We should. I mean, everybody's too busy playing All Right Now and Wishing Well. And
Yeah.
there's not many bands that do Queen songs. I mean, in one of my bands, we actually do Keep Yourself Alive.
Cool.
Again, you just don't see bands doing them, probably because they can't sing them.
Yeah, we did one of my last bands. I was in Wolf. We did a cover of Seven Seas of Rye.
No way.
That went down really well. We did our own different. Well, it's all almost the same, but we had a different ending to it, because of the way that it ends on the record.
Yeah.
So we kind of bastardized our own ending onto that, and it was really cool. What we did, the people really enjoyed it because it's something you didn't really expect from a band that like you said, All Right Now, all that kind of stuff, and we played different things, and that was one of them, and it's cool. I enjoyed playing it.
Do you remember, Mike, our rockabilly Fat Bottom Girls we used to do?
Yeah. 100%.
I feel like what Rob says, if you're going to do Queen, you've got to sort of change it up a bit.
When
you're in a cover band, that's when you find that Queen are pretty challenging songs to play.
I remember the look you gave me when I suggested it.
But it went down well.
I'm used to those looks. It's actually it's Hayseed Dixie did a version of it.
Yeah.
But I think I just came and I said, "Oh, guys, I've rearranged Fat Bottom Girls into a hillbilly style. Let's do it." But yeah, it was actually Hayseed Dixie, not me.
It went down well.
Secret safe.
Secret safe. Well, let's finish off side one with Seaside rendezvous. Yeah, who wants to go first?
Give us a kiss. That's how it ends. It's funny. It's a song that puts a smile on my face anyway. And I actually kind of like the creativity. Like we said, back in the mid-70s, no technology to help create what you hear in your brains. You kind of got to physically work it out yourself, physically, mathematically, whichever way, as long as you got your point across and what you had in your head out. That was amazing. So when it come down to doing the little solos in the middle of this, would you say it was like a 1940s again, another kind of thing?
Like the brass band feel, haven't you?
Yeah, well, the brass band type solo and the clarinets and things like that, they were all done by their own voices, their own mouths, and it's like, really? And then when you figure that out and you listen to it, you can actually hear that it's Roger Taylor doing his bit, and you can hear, don't know what, that kind of sound can identify who's doing it. You know what I mean? Like you can hear Roger doing it. It's like, that is nuts. But you didn't realise that before until you started analysing it, and It's like, yeah, this is kind of like creative because people always tend to overcomplicate things. What can we get to sound like a trumpet? Which we'll probably talk about later on down the line in a few songs' time.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was just super creative. And they thought, sod it, let's just mount it. We'll be all right.
Plus, you save on session fees as well, of course.
Yeah.
Top tip.
Because they have the tap dancing bit with thimbles on the desk and stuff, don't they?
Yeah, and it's
What
brilliant.
Was that, Chris? Sorry.
There's a bit where you get like a tap dancing sound. Does he say something about tap dancing? But that Freddie and Roger put thimbles on the fingers and mic'd up on the desk on the console and just tapped away on it to sound like tap dancers.
Yeah. And I like creativity of the time because there was no technology there. It's beautiful.
That's incredible. I didn't know that. That's really cool.
Yeah, when you hear it back, you can you'll know the bit. I mean, I feel like dancing.
Yeah, I know the bit, but I just assumed they got a tap dancer in. Like you do.
What do you say? It's another fee you don't have to pay, isn't it?
Yeah.
%. Well, let's flip over to side 2 then. And this, I know I said 39 was my favourite song. It's quite close call.
This is my one.
Oh, is it? Yeah. So, go on then, Chris.
This is crazy. I mean, the first thing to say, as you say, is we'll flip over. That's the end of side 1. And then sequencing was really important. Then when you think of how far we've come just on half the album and how far we've still got to go,
we're not even done Bohemian Rhapsody yet.
We don't mention that one.
No, we don't. No.
So what a great album to have all that, and it's just the first half. But this song, this is insane. This song, it's absolutely crazy. I think this out Bohemian Rhapsody's Bohemian Rhapsody.
Wow, you share the same sentiments as me.
If someone said to you know that song on A Night at the Opera that's really long and really proggy, and there's a mad vocal bit in the middle, and it just sounds really unusual, and everyone's thinking Bohemian Rhapsody. Prophet's song is so much more nuts than Bohemian Rhapsody. It's crazy. And we used to, when I was in sixth form college, we had like a prefab building we'd sit in between lessons, and there was a CD player, like a communal CD player, and people would fight over it and put the pop punk on or the metal, or there was techno kids putting the dance music on. And I used to just put the Prophet song on just to really freak people out. When you listen to that vocal bit in the middle and consider what if someone who didn't want to hear this was listening to it, you realize how long it is. I remember there's the bit where Freddie's going, now I know. And I remember this kid in sixth form going, what does he know? Just tell me what he knows. Oh, shut up. It's another great Brian May song, really heavy, sort of Eastern sounding, which is weird because like Seaside Rendezvous, like Lazing on a Sunday Afternoon, are very British sounding, but Freddie wrote them. Whereas this one Brian's written, which sounds sort of quite Eastern, and he wrote it after a dream about a great flood or something I read today. But 8 minutes 20 or something like that. You know, it's got 2 or 3 minutes over Bohemian Rhapsody, and it's just it's a great bass song. I mean, we talked a lot about Roger Taylor, but John Deacon did some great work all over this album, and his sound, the bass sound, and we'll come on to that with that big song later on. The bass sound is brilliant. But yeah, listening back to this today, I was like, yeah, love this song, always have. Big Brian May moment. And I was listening going, John Deacon's playing some great stuff on this track.
His unsung hero is our John, for sure. In every part of his work from start to finish, you know, very underrated.
Yeah, it's probably the song that the least known Queen song, I would say. There's probably people going, oh yeah, I love Queen, going, Prophet song, I've never heard of that. You know, that's why you have to listen to the album to get these deep cuts. What is that? What song?
Well, to be fair, most of the people who I know only know the singles or what's on the best of. The same people who think Bohemian Rhapsody is the greatest film ever, but yeah, they've never heard a Queen album.
Yeah, I think this was the other thing. When I said before on Sweet Lady, like I wouldn't often compare Queen to like Zeppelin. This is another one where I think I could hear Zeppelin do this. This is it's floating around the Kashmir's sort of big.
Dynamic, isn't it? You know, you got quiet moments and then some massive moments and some in between.
It's hypnotic.
Yeah. It's they were master of dynamics. Was Queen. You know, they kind of knew to to kind of make something sound really quiet. So you get your ear in there, you get your ear in, and you'd have a listen, and the next minute, boom, there's another 6 dBs blowing your brains out, and it's like, and obviously it's Brian behind that as well, like, you know, driving it. And that's what's cool about everything they do, but in particular, like you said, the Prophet song, it's you wouldn't think it was 8 minutes long because it's just so dynamic, rich, and interesting to listen to. You know, like the bits in between that we say about now I know, and death will around, and that. It's an echo, is that. Today you press a button, but in them days they had to kind of take the tape out of the tape machine by a complete whatever distance it was that they calculated the echoes to be. Probably wrapped it around a chair leg or a table leg or something and brought it back around. So it had a specific calculated space outside of that to record the echo onto. You know, and again, that's genius because it's actually happening in the physical realms. You know?
Yeah, it's none of this line 6 Spider 3
No.
delay sounds. It's like you say, it's the tape echo, and it's interesting you say about Zeppelin, Chris, because is it the feel of the tape echo delay that reminds you of the Zeppelin, like what Page used to use, or is it something else?
I think it's the tempo, it's how epic it sounds, it's the length of the song. Like I can't picture Percy Plant doing all that bit in the middle. That's not Zeppelin. But yeah, just sort of Queen aren't like Zeppelin, and when I read things and that suggest they were, like, they weren't. When they kicked off, they were a heavier sort of rocky band, but they weren't doing the same sort of thing. But yeah, just listening to it today, I was like, yeah, I could, you know, if it's Queen's Kashmir, I think it's just that same sort of slow, plodding, really fat guitars, and you know, just the lyrics are, you know, when Robert Plant's going on about orcs and Gollum and all that, you know, this is the lyrical part on A Night at the Opera where you're like, what is he talking about? But, yeah,
I was going to say that.
References and
I was going to say that it is a little bit like, you know, like a ramble on, where it's clear that, you know, Percy's wrote the lyrics for it, and it is like a story, like was May's sci-fi stories, or Percy with his Lord of the Rings stuff, and that sort. Yeah, I mean, just that tape echo sound. If anybody's going to buy a delay pedal, don't buy a tape echo because they're just spot on.
About that sort of echo vocal thing is just how good Freddie's vocals are on it.
Yeah.
Like he's repeated it so many times, but they're absolutely perfect. And I think they mentioned in one of the documentaries how he could phase his backing vocals, and you can hear them phase on it. So good, so precise as a singer.
So I think what's your favourite track on the album, Rob? Have we not got to it yet?
Prophet Song.
Yeah.
For exactly the same reason. If you'd have said to me, right, Rob, you go first. Pretty much what Chris said for the first maybe 3 minutes of his talk just then, I would have said exactly those words. Exactly the same. For the same reasons.
Well,
it's just, how can it not be?
Yeah, well, it's, as I said, 39 is my favourite, but there's not much in it between that and Prophet Song. So if you haven't heard 39 or Prophet Song, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
So, well, let's move on to another track, Love of My Life. And we were talking about Gary Sharon before. This was one, when I didn't see it at the time, but when I watched it back, when Extreme do Love of My Life, you can hear a pin drop, man. In Wembley Stadium. How many people were there? Hundreds of thousands of people there. You can hear a pin drop. So, come on, Chris. Love of My Life. You're the love of my life, mate.
Yeah. Just iconic Queen song. I think what's mad about it as a live song, because they did play it a lot live, and I think they still do with Adam Lambert, and they played it with Paul Rodgers, and Brian's played it on his own, is that he arranged it for guitar, and you're used to hearing that acoustic version of it, even with Freddie singing at Wembley. So to go back to the record and you go, it's a piano song, I forgot about that. And Brian May plays harp on it, which is mad. You know, you kind of think, you're not expecting to hear a little harp flourish at the end. And I think, yeah, it suits the acoustic version. I like that. I'm sort of more familiar with it, but it's a great sort of emotive Freddie song. I think he wrote it about Mary Austin, because he hadn't made that change in his life yet, which will come up in a couple of songs perhaps.
Well,
But it's another one with great bass as well. It's another, you're picking out the bits of guitar and the piano and the harp and stuff, but John Deacon underneath it's playing great, like subtle stuff. We have that sort of really warm 70s sound,
yeah.
filling it out really well. And yeah, it's what I think it's the most covered Queen song, or one of the most covered Queen songs. And
Oh, really?
like you say, you get a pin drop in any stadium by any band who's playing it, because it's a well-known song that the crowd want to sing along to. It's definitely a great song,
Yeah.
It's Love of My Life.
So why didn't you use this as your wedding song then, Rob? Come on, let's have it.
Because I think they chose that one first. That's the only reason.
Rob. I don't want to get you in trouble. I don't want to
Oh,
get
I'm always in trouble. Always in trouble, me lad.
Standard,
No
that,
change
isn't it?
there. But yeah, I think what's nice about this song is it's in our consciousness so much that when you watch the live at Wembley from '86, Freddie doesn't need to do any singing whatsoever. Everyone's there to see Freddie and Queen, but yet when it comes to them types of songs like Love of My Life, the crowd just take over. And it again, very beautiful moment.
Straight on to Good Company. Come on, Rob. I'm in great company here, by the way.
We're all in good company, aren't we, tonight?
Yeah.
What a fantastic song. Again, I keep thinking I'm repeating myself, but I'm not. I look at a lot of the Queen songs these days from a producer's point of view, because obviously over the time I've been a musician and kind of grown into producing now. So I'm looking at the stuff that I used to listen to in a different light now, because I can see how it's made. If you will, like a magician who knows how the tricks are done, it seems less impressive, doesn't it, when you know how the tricks are done? But with these sessions on this album, even though you know how they're done, you think, how the hell did you come up with that? Why? So you've got another Brian May song playing his ukulele banjo that was given to him by his dad, George Formby one. I think Brian May is part of the George Formby Society. I believe that's true.
Yeah, he definitely was.
Yeah. I think he's still listed this day. And what I like about it, it's got this little Dixieland jazz thing going on, and again later on into the song, with dynamics, it builds and builds and builds into this Dixieland orchestra, which is totally 100% only played on guitar. For years, I didn't really give it a second thought, because it's in my psyche. I'm listening to it. Yeah, it's a great song. I love it. Here's the nice tune, blah, blah, blah. But when you actually analyse how he's done that, a full Dixieland jazz band with just a guitar, he had to make it sound like it, tone with, his tonality. But yeah, he also had to kind of play it in the way that is like a trombone, for example. I mean, it's like you won't have to kind of do the same motion as you would do physically, but on a guitar. And it's like, how do you transpose that? And he did that. It's amazing. And I've heard all the instruments are down except for just his guitar parts on this. Impressive is not a word to use. It's stellar, absolutely stellar, the way that it builds. Because you've got your sound, you've got your band, and then it just completely just disintegrates into like different directions, call and response to each other, and you've got little trills going off there on muted trumpets and trombones giving it some, and it's like all on guitar, and it's like, wow, man, where the hell did that come from? How'd you come up with that and pull it off? It's genius.
Insane, yeah. They were just sort of the things I was going to say about it as well. It's incredible musicianship. I kind of thought, Good Company, yeah, just get me to the Dixieland Jazz Band bit at the end. Skip the rest of it. Like that's just the amazing moment. I mean, the song, it's a great song. When I listened back to it today, it made me feel a bit sort of Beatlesy almost. I mean, it's obviously based on way before the Beatles, and Brian May mentioned his dad playing the ukulele to him when he was a kid, so he's probably 40s, 50s feel. But it does sound a bit like something off Let It Be, like Two of Us or One After 909 or something like
Yeah.
that. One.
Yeah.
It does have that feel, doesn't it? Yeah.
It's got that sort of Beatlesy thing to it. And like you said at the beginning, Rob, the album, there's a lot of sort of Sgt. Pepper feeling to the sequence and stuff. So it's a great song, but it's all about the last 30 seconds probably. Just get to the end.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's on, I think it's the classic albums, isn't it, of A Night at the Opera. I think it's on YouTube because I watched it the other day, where he's analysing it, and it's just all the bands taken off. It's just the Dixieland Jazz Band. You're like, what? Like, if I tried to record that myself, it would take a month of me thinking about, like, what's that line doing? And that's when you know what to do. Like, he's had to write it, and then record it, and then put all the different sounds together. I mean, he's got 800 sounds in that guitar, obviously, but it's crazy. And even like the very end, he's got like harmonics to be bells, and then the last little riff is like so much busier than I thought it was.
It is.
It's insane. Like you can picture the rest of the band like go in the pub or something. Like, right, that's the song. Over to you, Brian. See you later. And Freddie's not on this song apparently. I read that somewhere.
Oh right.
Yeah.
So there's no Freddie on it at all. And yeah, I was thinking one of the other songs doesn't have Brian on, I think. But yeah, it's again very Brian May, and his orchestrated guitar is definitely hitting the high point on this album. But when you get to this song, you're like, forget it. No one's beating that. It's insane.
Well, I think going back to the guitar thing, I'm very guilty of bridge pickup, tone on 10, let's go. But Brian May, he's using all of his pickups for different tones. And I mean, how about you, Chris? Are you pretty much tone on 10, bridge pickup, let's boogie?
Pretty much, yeah. Occasional, doing a cover band, you've got to do certain songs where you've got to use the neck pickup, and I'm just not into it. I don't like that. So yeah, bridge pickup.
Well, let's agree now that we're not doing Sweet Child of Mine in the set.
Oh, yeah, screw that.
Sorted.
We're putting Sweet Lady in instead.
Hey.
But yeah, his sound. We could do a podcast all about his sound because so many guitarists using different gear and different amps and different pedals, but they're still coming round to sort of the same rock sound. But his guitar into his amp with the treble boost and the Deaky amp and stuff, it just sounds so different. And the sixpence. I met him once. Have I told you this story about when I met him?
No.
Just bizarre. So the uni I work at, he was the chancellor for a time, and he used to turn up to graduations and stuff. When I was 16, in my biggest sort of Brian May is my hero phase, I'd seen this market stall selling old coins, so I was like, right, I'm going to buy some sixpences and play guitar with them. And I did it for about 5 minutes and went, yeah, that's pointless. It's absolutely so hard to do. And he still does it to this day. But I kept this bag of like 10 sixpences for some reason. And then I realised this one day I'm going to be in the same place as him at the same time. I'll see if I can meet him. So, I got in the queue of people around him and shook his hand. And then he was moving on to the next person. I was like, oh, Brian, I've got a bag of sixpences for you. And like, he just gave me this big hug. And I was like, this is insane. Brian May.
Wow.
That's cool.
Picture somewhere. It's a really crap picture, which annoyed me afterwards. But yeah, that's part of the sound as well, the sixpence. And he doesn't change his strings either. I've read that from his tech. Like, he only changes his strings when they snap. So if he does a long tour, it could be like 10 gigs and he's still on the same strings, which you wouldn't think listening to his tone.
No, you wouldn't, would you? Because it's so
He's
bright.
a real creature out there.
I'm not really a singles man, so we're going to skip the next track.
Yeah.
So we'll go on to God Save the Queen, unless Rob thinks we should do Bohemian Rhapsody.
No, I think basically, if you don't know about Bohemian Rhapsody or any of it, you're living on a rock or you're from outer space or something. So everything's been said about it. So let's move on. I think
we've got to do it.
Move on.
No, I was just joking. We've got to do it. I was just joking.
So was I.
Everybody skipped to 1 hour and 4 minutes to just hear about Bohemian Rhapsody.
They probably would,
Probably.
Everything has been said about it, hasn't it? But it doesn't mean we can't say it again.
Absolutely.
So it's not as good as Prophet Song. That's the first thing
We've
to say.
established that.
Totally.
Another thing, like we just said on Good Company, on the classic albums where you can hear the Dixieland Jazz Band without everything else, there's a great bit, I think it's on there. There's also it was on one of the DVDs. It's called Inside the Rhapsody or something, where Brian May just sits with the tracks. And that starts, he plays just the backing track without any of the vocals and without any of the guitar and stuff, because the backing tracks would have been piano, bass and drums, or guitar, bass and drums. And yeah, when you hear just the backing track for Bohemian Rhapsody, it's so good. To figure out how to play that song without the vocals, you realize that middle bit, that's your guide. But he's not singing it, and they're in the room and they're all just locked in. And again, that's an opportunity to hear John Deacon's bass without other stuff on it. It's such a great warm bass sound. That moment when he comes in, and he's always stood behind Freddie in the video, and whenever they did it live, you can see John stood there. It's just great sound and really fattens it up.
Yeah, one thing I didn't realise about John Deacon is he actually played a 3/4, didn't he? 3/4 bass, precision bass. It's not a full size.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
I actually didn't realise that until maybe about 3 months ago when I'm watching some video. It might even been Bohemian Rhapsody or something like that. And I'm like, it's 3/4. And then I skipped to another video. I'm like, that's 3/4. That's 3/4. I'm like, wow. And even if you look at Wembley in '86, it's a 3/4 precision bass.
Maybe he was just secretly 6'5" and no one ever knew.
maybe. Well, it was a big sound,
Yeah. But yeah, I was trying to think about things to say about Bohemian Rhapsody that everybody else hasn't already said. That's the first thing. I think since I listened to that, just the backing track without everything else, when I listen to the song now, my ear naturally goes to the backing track and just hear the three of them in the room and take Brian off and take the vocals off. It's just a fantastic take that they did. Oh, the other thing, Ro, I was going to say about not Fat Bottom Girls, not as good as that, Bohemian Rhapsody. That moment, the Wayne's World moment where the guitars go off and everybody loves that moment. But when I listen back, the drum fill just before that is so good. Like
beautiful.
It's almost better. I'm waiting for the drum fill to come in before the guitars. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
Just that bit, you mean?
It's like do you know what I mean? Yeah. When you listen back, very Tom's, and I think he's coming round the kit.
He is
higher, I think.
He's got it. What he does is he does a lot of flams as he's playing, So instead of going, it's and that adds a lot of different interest to it. It makes it seem, what was that? And it makes it sound more vibrant and awesome. And I found some drumless tracks on YouTube. One of them was Bohemian Rhapsody, and he had a stab at playing it. And when we got up to the operatic part, it was just such a joy to play, because obviously I'm from the school of Roger Taylor. So I understand his playing because it's kind of in my psyche. So to kind of sit down there and play it, pretty much wasn't note for note, but almost there. It was a delight to know that I could do something that Roger did. And it was like,
well, come on, Rob. Come on, Rob. There's a drum kit there behind you. Can you demonstrate said fill that Chris mentioned?
Yeah, I suppose I could.
Go on.
Which one was it, Chris?
Just before the guitar comes in. So
always Beelzebub as a devil put aside for me.
Yeah. Go on, Rob.
This is a massive treat, because actually the first live band that I ever saw was Rob's band, and definitely inspired me to get gigging. How about yourself, Chris?
Yeah, totally. God, I assume you're talking about the same one I'm talking about. What a band they were.
Can we name them for legal reasons?
Yeah, of course you can.
Of course we can, yeah. Psychedelic Gods of Rock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The railway in Goulburn, man.
The dearly missed railway in Goulburn.
R.I.P.
The police.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
As easy as that, kids.
I might have even put that on YouTube, me playing that. I think I might have done.
What's your YouTube, Rob? If anyone can find your stuff.
Yeah, it's just Punk Baby. I put all my tracks on there. And I did, over lockdown, just did a few jams with Brian May and a few other people. That was quite fun. But Yeah, if you go on Punk Baby, you'll probably see. I think I posted that, and if I haven't, I'll post it up there.
I remember seeing that, yeah, on Facebook.
I've seen it.
Yeah,
It's good. Really good.
what a post, because I did that much on lockdown because I had the time. I was like, what can I do next? What can I do next?
I mean, we could talk about Bohemian Rhapsody forever, but it's covered. Everybody knows
Sure,
the song.
yeah.
So let's get on to. Sorry, Rob.
It's awesome. That's all we need to know. It's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, the other thing I was going to say about it when I listened back to it today was it's a song I've not listened to every note and every bit of for so long, because if it comes on when you're out, or it's in the car, you're in a pub, or even you're at home, everybody sings along to it, which is fine. It's one of those songs that you want to sing along to. But because of that, I've never heard just Freddie sing it, or just hearing the piano tones and the guitar. So just to put headphones on and just listen to Bohemian Rhapsody without drunk people shouting all over it, I was like, God, you forget how good this is. Really amazing.
Yeah, I get confused about it because I want to play air guitar to it, so I start playing air guitar, and then Roger will do something cool, so I swap to her drums, and then John does something cool, so I'm like, and I just can't make my mind up what I'm erring at all. You know what I mean? Is it drums, guitar, or bass?
I think you've hit the nail on the head there, Chris. It's like, just to go back to the Led Zeppelin thing, it's like Stairway to Heaven. Always a track that I skip. Same with Bohemian Rhapsody. Always skip it. When I'm in a situation where it's on and I'm listening to it, I'm like, fuck, this is amazing. Just
but
like Stairway to
often
Heaven.
get to just listen to it because everybody dives on it.
So let's wrap it up then with God Save the Queen. Now, Rob, I'm sure I've been in your house and you've had like Queen Mother mugs and Charles and Diana crockery and stuff like that. Is that right, or have I dreamt that?
No. I am a child of the 80s, of course. I do collect all sorts of memorabilia like that. No, actually, I do remember having that kind of stuff in our house as a kid.
Did you?
Charles and Diana mugs, and we got a coin from the Silver Jubilee, a big coin, and all sorts of stuff that you get given for free, or you buy from a tea towel from when you're on your holidays with Charles and Di on it and all that. And yeah, my mum bought all of that stuff.
I used to have a mug. I used to have a mug with a lizard on it when I was a kid. So I'm in the same position as you do.
Yeah. I knew there was something not quite right about you, Michael.
Yeah, the David Icke fans on board.
I'm getting David Icke in the next episode. We're gonna do.
Excellent.
I don't know what we're gonna do.
Check his shell suit. Yeah.
God Save the Queen then. Guitar instrumental, which I'm sure is probably, like most guitarists, I'm guessing May would have been inspired by Hendrix. I'm sure it must be his version of
Freddie was as well.
Star Spangled Banner. It's Queen's Star Spangled Banner, definitely.
I think it's a bit of an afterthought. We talk about how well they put together albums and things. I don't think it's an afterthought in that it suits, it fits, and it's a good way to end the album. But I think from reading up earlier, I found that this was recorded first like a year earlier when they were still in their old Trident deal. And it does sound different. It doesn't quite sound as good when you listen back. And I think they recorded it a year earlier and then went on the Sheer Heart Attack tour. And from watching Queen gigs, you kind of get used to at the end, they would play God Save the Queen and Freddie would often have a crown on or a robe or something. So I imagine, I don't know, but I imagine Brian May sort of put it together to play at the end of gigs on the Sheer Heart Attack tour and then just thought, oh, well, stick it on a night at the opera because we've not put it on. It's not holding a candle to any of the other songs, but that's because our national anthem's garbage.
What's the last track on Abbey Road?
The End.
After the end, it's Majesty's a pretty nice guy.
Yeah.
It's how to fuck up a classic album.
Yeah. I kind of quite like it, really. I do kind of like it because I know it's like you say, it does seem a little out of context as far as the sound quality is concerned. It kind of bookends it in a way that it finishes it. So you've got like big angry rocker. I think every record should start off with something explosive and big, and then take you on a roller coaster, which is exactly what we've talked about tonight. This is one hell of a roller coaster of a record, and the end of it is just, I think it kind of solidifies in people's psyche for the first time that they are this majestic group. It's not just a bunch of musicians, a bunch of special people who should be royal, you know. And I think that ends it well, totally. You know, I think it finishes off a bunch of creative songs in exactly the right way. If it had ended on Bohemian Rhapsody, it would have felt odd.
Yeah.
I think.
Do you think it's tongue? Do you think
tongue-in-cheek
it's?
again, isn't it?
I was just going to say that. Do you think it's tongue in cheek or?
They used to
Definitely,
play with
sure.
that a lot, didn't they? So
Yeah,
there's probably a little bit of Freddie in there saying, "Yeah, God save us," you know, we're the best, we're better than the Royals, that sort of thing.
that's it. The grandeur of it, the majesty of it, it is pompous. It fits the bill totally well. And when on '86 live at Wembley, he's coming out with, you know, and he's pumping around the stage to it, you know, he's got his flag on and everything, his robes and his crown, and it's like, yeah, you are better than royalty, dude. You know, it suits him. He's not big-headed. He's not blowing his own trumpet. It's what he is. It's what they are. You know, and it's a good stamp. It's a majestic seal of approval.
I like
a good way to end the record.
And a great way to end the podcast as well. A majestic seal of approval.
Mm-hmm.
I've loved this as the first one of many. I'm hoping it's been
Fantastic.
very interesting, informative, and I thank you very much. Cheers, Chris.
Thanks
Cheers,
for having
Rob.
us on.
Rob, do you want to end us out with "Any Way the Wind Blows," and then I'll put a gong on the end of it to end the podcast.
I mean, just sing it.
Just sing it, man.
Any way the wind blows. Thank you, my darlings. Thank you.